Hey guys, and welcome to the channel that makes a ton of random video essays at one giant period of time, and then when things get busy, disappears off the face of the planet for another 7 months. For about the 7th time. So you see, that's an introduction. I mean, yeah, not exactly a title screen, but maybe more like a title sequence. Hey, but at least I didn't start by screaming the name of the video in your face. And at least you can still hear. Title screens are usually very important to video games because they're the first and the last thing you'll see on a very long journey. Some of my favorites are usually biased, but hey, that's the entire point of this channel, an honest gamer's opinion on whatever the hell. So let's take a few from my experience and take it as what's good, what's bad, and what wasn't I paying attention to. And there's certain aspects that you need to pull together to really make an impact, so let's talk about a few of them. One of the best things in a video game is always its sense of style, and however the game does it after the opening proves as a foundation for the rest of the game, most of the time. There's definitely a different sense that you get once you engage in the world, but first impressions are always semi-important. I love the Black Ops 3 title and connection screens for this. It's futuristic and gritty, and somehow establishes the vibe of the game amazingly. It's dynamic on every screen as well. Somehow, I just love it, but it's not my favorite example. Okay, you know, I'll just get it out of the way. This is almost a perfect example of a title screen. The popping out but somehow not overly bright colors mixed with the foreshadowing of each Phantom Thief, the symbolism, and don't get me started on the music! Oh, it's very memorable, and even though it doesn't change throughout the game, your perception of it does. It's a perfectly crafted example of what a good title screen is. Another game that tries, or should I say tried, to establish the style from the start is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The idea of silence and serenity along with the art style and runic feel turned out looking like an ad you can see pop up on a revolving mall screen. The problem is it feels like there was almost no effort put into this, and it really just feels cheap, which sucks, because this is one of my favorite games of all time. Similarly to this, Black Ops Cold War felt overbearing. Instead of a slideshow of calmness, it follows more of the we're going to give our players a rational anxiety approach. It's just way too fast, and the logo blends too much that I kind of fear this title screen. It's almost like it's trying to say too much. I see the style that it was going for, but it just didn't work with how they did it. And although this game is kind of forgettable, Scarlet Nexus is an example of the semi-silent serenity that Breath of the Wild was trying to go for. The main character is atop a post-apocalyptic but yet calm city makes the intro into a strong suit. A sort of strange example, especially for a strange game like Scarlet Nexus, but overall it's a pretty solid one. Style establishment is pretty important, and if you do it right, a title screen can get that vibe across. Although I have a weakness for style, I have an even larger weakness for something you guys definitely know by now. Oh my god, the music! But my god, the soundtrack of Dearly Beloved glues the entire thing together. The tone of this music reflects the melancholic yet caring vibe of the story you're about to witness and not understand a fraction of. Opening to this for the first time feels powerful, making a precise first impression that tugs at the heartstrings. Did I tear up at this? Even when I looked at it for the last time after 100%ing the game? Yes, I did, and I'm not ashamed. One thing I am ashamed of, and not because of my taste, is fighting game openings. And it's still so loud! Don't get me wrong, it's all fine and dandy that this is a solid game, but having it open to get Tengen's 5th form sound breathing into your ears is not pleasant. It's too aggressive, and the art, although good, is always a bit too packed for my tastes. Some anime games do the audio right, but the few that I've played, mostly fighting games, have done the same sort of thing. After the title screen, it's usually fine, but I can't get over the fact that I burst my eardrums to get there. I could seriously rant on about how JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven just never gives you a break, but I'll give the other ones the benefit of the doubt. Eyes of Heaven is an entirely separate bag to open. One last example in the audio category that I'd like to mention is a sort of strange case. Again, it's just the logo, so it's kind of boring, but the pan of the music was just so crispy. And yeah, the sound is definitely louder than it should be to start off, but with the type of game this is, kicking your ass at every opportunity it can, it kinda fits. In the cases of most anime fighting games, they're loud because they can be. Elden Ring has its theme intact with its ultimate yet medieval track with an orchestral feel to it, so it's a weird middle ground almost. It shows truly how important audio can be to a title screen. Lastly, and probably the most important part of the art of a title screen is pretty obvious. This is perhaps one of the most notorious. Xenoblade Chronicles has a very specific quality to it. It's memorable. The dynamic settings of the passing and the world revolving mixes both beauty and foreshadowing that just makes it amazing. Don't get me wrong, I think the gameplay is worse than a bag of soggy chips, but for anyone who likes that sort of gameplay, this title screen is so damn close to perfect. And yeah, even to me, it's pretty damn near perfect. It's classic when people bring up title screens. You know what isn't though?
Mario Kart 8!
Ew! This is perhaps the most forgettable title screen of all time. It's literally just a PNG with super high contrast and brightness. I try to get through this screen quickly to avoid going blind. But something else that sucks. Again, Nintendo, what are you doing? Nintendo, you have something I praise, then run it into the ground with bone-chillingly bad title screens. Hold on, let me get you a palate cleanser. There we are. Pokemon, specifically in Gen 4 and 5, absolutely killed the title screens. It's memorable because of the legendaries, and the amazing I'm going on a mysterious but exciting journey vibe that all the Pokemon games capture. This was the phase right before the title screen felt like another ad for the game, and they nailed exactly what they were going for here. And finally, to keep us away from the puke outside my apartments, I introduce you to Ghost of Tsushima. The guiding wind blowing calmly yet fast through the blade of Jin Sakai just captures the feeling of this game perfectly. It's smooth, aesthetic, and generally just captures the feeling of the game. I'll be damned if that's not memorable. Video game title screens have a very big variety. They're either lovable pieces of craftsmanship that I can just hug, or they're the literal burning trash can outside of my bathroom. While yes, it doesn't define the game, it is kind of the first impression it gives off. So, try and make it good, I guess? I really appreciate when a game just kind of sums up the entire thing within the first few frames. It just feels really nice. And in all honesty, it defines whether or not I get to hear. Yo! What? Doctor, I have a medical question. How do you get ketchup out of your ear?